I will send you some details in this week. So you may have to download that MS Teams and register or something like that. So probably from next class we may have to change into that. Okay. So let us. Let's look at one application today before we switch over to our next thing. So if you take something like a rubber band, this is a generic feature of many of the polymeric materials. So suppose if you normally if you take any material like a steel rod or something like this, generally what is observed is that when you have a material, when heated, they expand. Okay, so this phenomena is known as thermal expansion. But materials like uh, rubber band, for example, if you take polymer like rubber band, and heat it, then it actually shrinks. It doesn't, it doesn't expand, but it actually shrinks. And some experience which you might have had is that if you take a water bottle and then suppose it somehow increase the temperature of the of the air inside the water bottle, you can see that the bottle gets crumpled. Okay, so water bottle getting crumpled because of the hot air inside is one such example where there's shrinking that happens when we heat it. This is in contrast to thermal expansion. Here you have a thermal shrinking. Now we have to understand why this happens, and so we can ask. And before that, of course, when I say heat it, I mean that you should not heat it till it becomes ash. Okay, so you have to increase the temperature. So that you can do by either probably putting it in some hot water, or maybe you can use hair dryer to increase the temperature of the rubber band by blowing hot air onto the rubber band. So if one is interested in doing an experiment, these are the ways to do it. Okay. So now let us try to understand why this happens. So for that, I have to consider a model of the rubber band. So this is called 1D model, a simplified model of a polymer. So in 1D model, what I have is I have a polymer which has polymer generally has different monomers and joined by some links, which are basically bonds. So here I am going to abstract this polymer as a collection of collection of links. Now, in 1D model, each link can be directed to the left or right. Okay. So even though this is a 1D model, here I'm going to draw this picture in such a way that you will understand. So for that I will use one more direction. For example, let's say there is a link like this, and there is another link like this, and let's say third link is in the left, fourth link is to the right. Let's say right, left, 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 right, 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 left, left, yes. So this is in some sense the model of the polygon. Of course, I have used the second dimension, but I am only using either right or left. So this is a 1D model. Now let's say that small l is the length of a link. Small l is the length of a link, and let us define this capital L as length of the chain or rubber band. Okay. Now you can see that if it's the magnitude, but if it is to the right, then the length will be L. If it is to the left, then length will be minus L. Like for example, if you call this as 0, now L, 2L, then again L, 2L, 3L, L, 0 and minus L. L, 2L, 3L, like that you understand what to do, right? So now you can write down if there are, let's say total N is number of links. Okay, and let us define small n is number of links directed to the right. Then obviously capital N minus small n will be number of links directed to the left. Okay, so now we can define a macro state of the system. Macro state of the system can be defined by fixing this capital N. Equivalently, you can do that by fixing this small n. Capital N is anyway fixed, total number of links is fixed. But if you fix your small n, then L is fixed. This is easy to understand because suppose if you say total length is nothing but n multiplied by L, because these many are to the right, plus n minus n multiplied by minus L. These are links towards directed to the left. So this is nothing but, we can write this as n plus 2 times n. So if you are given n, then you can find out L using this relation. Or you can invert this relation and then write this as N is equal to L by L minus N into 1 by 2. L by L minus N into 1 by 2. L by L minus N. Yeah. So if you are given capital L, then you can obtain the small n by this relation. So in this sense, fixing L or fixing n is equivalent, because if you are giving me n, I can find out L. If you are giving me L, I can find out n using this relation. Now you can see that if this macro state is fixed, okay, so you can see that there are so many ways in which this can happen. For example, if let's say I have n is equal to 3 or 4, and then n is equal to 2, let's say, then I can have a situation where these are like this. This is one possible way in which you can have this thing, or you can have another possible. This also corresponds to 2 times right and 2 times left, or you start from here, go this direction, come like this, and come like this. So you are going to have so many ways in which this can happen by fixing this capital N and small n. This is the macro state, and these are micro states. Okay, so these different configurations, possible configurations, are micro states. So our aim is to find out how many number of micro states are there for a given macro state. Okay, so that is once again very simple. Like in the case of spin half systems, also has 2 possibilities, either up or down. Here also there are 2 possibilities, either right or left. So we can ask a question. So for a fixed value of, yeah.
So why you have taken their minus L? And in the chat also asking some about minus N.
Minus N where? Minus L.
Yes, and minus L and that minus N. So I was asking about this minus L.
Yeah, so but you are saying there is some question in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, so if there are n links directed to the right, then the length they contribute is n times L. This is correct. And there are n minus n links directed to the left, so that will contribute to a length with a minus L. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So there is a minus n here. That's what you're saying. So it will be plus here. Correct? Yeah. So I think that's what you meant, right? Which I can write it as n by 2 into 1 plus L divided by n. think that is fine.
Sir,
This is what you asked. What is it?
sir,
I think Ashwati and Abhijit are making this point, right?
Sir, I'm asking that why I have taken that minus L because it is towards left. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
See, for example, the total length of this polymer, okay, is 0. So in
Yes,
this
sir.
particular case, this corresponds to L is equal to 0.
Yes,
So
sir.
this happens, this is plus L, this is minus L, this is plus L, this is minus L. That is how you get total length of this example, this particular polymer to be 0.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Devanjan, you are asking something?
sir, the microstate for they are different, no? Like n equal to 4 and n equal to 2, the total length is 2 here, and here is 1, and then 2 here.
In the 3 microstates I have drawn,
In the middle, the length is different.
So basically, the total length is defined in this fashion. Total length is called n to n to n distance. So if I start here, this is one end, this is other end. So in 1D, this is 0. So I start from here, and this is end. This is same point actually. I'm drawing in the second line here, but this is a 1D model, so it is like overlapping on this. Similarly, this is one end and this is the other end. So L is defined like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So for a fixed value of n, we have the number of microstates is given by omega of n is equal to logarithm of n, and since n and n and n minus n are all very large.
Sir, the screen is not visible, sir.
Huh? What?
The screen is not visible, sir. The presentation is gone.
Hmm. Hmm. Is it visible or not visible?
No, sir. No.
No, sir. I think that device got logged out from your account, sir.
Oh, my screen got logged out. But I am inside, right?
Yes, sir. We can see you, hear you, but not the presentation, sir.
Do you see now?
Yes, sir.
Prabandhan, can you see?
We can't see the screen. We can see you're presenting, but they're not the notes.
Yes. Let me stop sharing and share again. Can you see it now?
Same problem, sir.
So what does it say? I am presenting, but you don't see my presentation.
So blank screen, sir. Blank. Just saying present. You are presenting, but nothing is visible.
Any solution?
Sir, can you try presenting the screen because we can try that?
Presenting?
The screen, the entire screen.
So I am sharing screen and then now I have made it entire screen. Oh, you're asking me to present present the entire
No, sir,
screen.
now also we can't see anything, sir. It's just blank.
So you can try rejoining the meet or closing the OneNote app and again opening it.
Do you see now?
No, sir.
Okay, so then I will try to go out and log in again.
Okay, sir.
It's visible, sir.
Visible? Okay. Okay, so since this n, small n and n minus n are all very large, we can use Stirling's approximation. And write this S of n as AB into n logarithm of n. Of course, that minus n will be there, and we know from previous calculation that will cancel with. So I am going to write this equation directly: minus n logarithm of n minus. This will be our entropy. Now let us try to. So this expression is not that useful because we have to do thermodynamics. So let us go to thermodynamics and then let us do some thermodynamics here. You know that first and the second laws of thermodynamics will tell you that dE is equal to P ds, and then there is a work done. And the work done in this particular case is that if you are applying some force, okay, so let me call that force as some F, and then there is a change in length by dl. So this is basically F times dl. This is called some tensile force. So this is the kind of work done that we are looking at in this particular case. So this implies now ds can be written as 1 by T into dU minus F by T into dL. So if you have S as a function of L, then you can get this F by T can be obtained with the negative partial derivative of S with L. Okay, so now you can see that the expression of entropy that we have here, if we can recast this expression in terms of this capital L, then the partial derivative of S with L will give us F by T. So we will use this relation here, to find out what is the entropy as a function of L. So let us write N is equal to N by 2 into 1 plus L by NL. And what will be N minus N? N minus N will be N by 2 to 1 minus L by N. So if I substitute these two expressions, so I will have S as a function of L is equal to KB n logarithm of n minus n by 2 into 1 plus L by NL into logarithm of n by 2 to 1 plus L by NL. This is the first term, minus n by 2 into 1 minus L by NL into logarithm of, this of course is together, n by 2 into 1 plus L 1 minus L by. Okay, so you can see that there is a n sitting here, n sitting here, n sitting here. So I can pull that out and write this as nkb, and you can write down this as logarithm of n plus this one, and this also has logarithm of n plus this one, and then like in the previous, please look at previous calculation carefully, then that logarithm of n will cancel with this logarithm of n. So I will have minus 1 plus L by NL into 1 by 2 logarithm of 1 by 2 into 1 plus L by NL. This term is there, minus 1 by 2 into 1 minus L by NL logarithm of 1 by 2 into 1 minus L by NL. So this is the expression is somewhat same as in the previous spin case. You have E by n epsilon here. Here you have n by n. NL. That's the only difference. Otherwise, this entropy expression is exactly same. Now you can, since you know S as a function of L, we are now ready to obtain this expression. So we have F by T is equal to minus nkb. Now I'm going to take a derivative of this one. So derivative of, suppose if I take derivative of this, I have minus 1 by NL to NL into logarithm of this quantity as it is, half 1 plus L by NL. Now I keep this as such and differentiate this, then I will have minus 1 by N. Similarly, if I do the differentiation of this, then I will have plus L by 2 NL, there are capital NL. And if I differentiate this into logarithm of half into 1 minus L by NL, and I differentiate this, so that will be plus 1 by NL. And this will cancel, so I will have pull out a minus sign, and this will be simply n times kb by 2 NL. This is coming from here and here. There is no L. And logarithm of, since I pulled out a minus sign, this will be in the numerator and that will be in the denominator. That is 1 plus L by NL divided by 1 minus L by. This is equal to your F by T. So this n can be cancelled, and this implies, so let us write this as NL plus L divided by NL minus L is equal to exponential of 2 FL by KB. 2FL by KB. So this is something which we can now write. So what is our aim? Our aim is to write this in terms of L in terms of T. So this further can be simplified that NL plus L is equal to exponential of this 2FL by KBT into NL minus. So I take this L on the other side. So we have L times 1 plus e to the power 2FL by KBT is equal to NL times so this L it goes this side, so this is NL e to the power 2FL by KBT minus 1. So you can write this L as a function of temperature, can be written as NL into, you can write this divided by this, but if you take out, if you pull out e to the FL by KBT, then this becomes e to the FL by KBT minus e to the minus FL by KBT. So that simply gives you that this is tan hyperbolic of FL by KBT. So L as a function of temperature is given by this. Now you can see that if we have, if you can plot this function, so let's say that you want to plot this function. So let's say this is what is called -1, and this is +1, and your tan hyperbolic will be a function like this. It goes to 0 and then it becomes 1. Like this is, I'm just plotting what is called x versus tan hyperbolic. Now, in this particular case, in this particular case, if I plot L here, okay, suppose if, let me, I'll just use, suppose if I call this as L of x versus x, then this point is basically n times L, and this point is minus n. Okay, now what is your x? In this particular case, x is equal to FL by KB. Now suppose you have some value of x. So suppose if you increase the temperature, what happens? Suppose temperature is increased. Temperature is increased. This implies x actually decreases. So suppose this was your, for a given value of x, let's say this is the length of your polymer. Now suppose if x is decreased to this point, then the length of the polymer also decreases. Okay. So if x goes from here to here, then L goes from here to here. And this is why that shrinking takes place. So this is the reason why a polymer like this rubber band actually shrinks when you heat it. Now, if you want to understand why this happens, if you look at entropy of the system, suppose let's say that your capital L is equal to NL. Let's say this is the macro state. Okay, this is the macro state. What does that mean? That implies that your small n is equal to capital N. That means all the links are to the right. So if you want to ask what is the number of configurations for this, there is only one configuration, because all of them are right like this, etc., etc. This is the only one configuration. So omega is simply equal to 1. Now you can see that if you increase the temperature, okay, if temperature is increased, that implies entropy increases, which is same as omega increases. Okay, so omega is large for small length. Okay, in fact, it is largest for L is equal to 0. Okay, that means L is equal to 0. L is equal to 0. Omega is largest. Is maximum, which implies that your small n is equal to n by 2. Okay, so this is qualitatively why as you increase the temperature, the shrinking takes place, because when there is a small value of L, then there are large number of configurations, and hence the entropy will be high. As you increase the temperature, entropy will also increase, and this is because these links are flexible and they can take different orientations. In this simple model, of course, we have allowed only 2 orientations, but this is sufficient to capture the generality of the argument. So this is our application of elasticity, statistical mechanics of a polymer system like rubber band, and this is the. So the mathematics is exactly same as what we did in spin half case, but only thing is here, of course, we have to keep in mind that the macro state I am interested in is by fixing the length of the system. Okay, so I think some of the applications that I have done in microcanonical ensemble. So we are almost done with this chapter on microcanonical ensemble. So I want to just summarize what we did in microcanonical ensemble. Summary of So the physical system that we were interested in, or which corresponds to this, is called an isolated system. In equilibrium. And for such a system, the macro state is defined by fixing the energy, volume, and number of particles fixed. And what can we say about the microstates? In this particular ensemble, all microstates are equally probable. And dynamical justification comes from what is called ergodic hypothesis. And the quantity of interest is omega for a given macro state, which is number of microstates for a given macro state. And the formula connecting to thermodynamics is the Boltzmann formula. Namely, the entropy is given by AB logarithm of omega, the function of E. Then we have general description that we can have a system which is in general macroscopic. Then we may have a situation where the constituents are classical particles, in which case we can find out what is called a sigma as a function of EVn by integrating over the entire phase space, subjected to the constraint that the Hamiltonian is less than or equal to E. If you have constituents or quantum particles, then you know, use some counting techniques you get omega as a function of EVN. And in both cases, from here, I will have S is equal to K logarithm of sigma, and I will have from here S is equal to KB logarithm of sigma and KB logarithm of omega, and then from there I go on to do thermodynamics. Okay, so we have applied this to the following problems. So first problem that we have used was classical ideal gas. Ideal gas, and we have obtained sigma, then found a paradox when we try to look at the mixing of gases, identical gases. Then we have understood how to do this correct counting. Okay, and then using the correct counting, we derive the entropy of ideal gas, which is called Shakur-Tetrode equation. The second application we tried to do was the spin half particles in magnetic field, and there we obtained the concept of, we understood what is called the concept of negative spin temperature. And looked at Schottky anomaly. The third application that we looked at was specific heat of crystalline solids. In this, we did first Boltzmann's theory of what we call as Dulong-Pettit law. And then we looked at Einstein's theory of Weber's temperature dependent okay, and probably lastly, we have looked at statistical mechanics. Polymer and rubber. So I hope I have covered all of them that we discussed in this chapter. And so this is, of course, I did not include in this summary what we did before coming to equilibrium statistical mechanics. The entire formulation I have omitted because this is probably only a summary of microdynamic landscape. Okay, so now let us try to move on to our next. So one of the issue that we will now look at the next equilibrium ensemble, namely it is called canonical ensemble. But before we go to canonical ensemble, let us try to ask the question: what is wrong with this ensemble, and why should we use another ensemble? For example, here in microcanonical ensemble, the macro state so in microcanonical ensemble, the macro state is fixed value of energy, volume, and number of particles. Now, usually it is so usually it is difficult to measure it. Secondly, it is also difficult to keep it fixed. And third is no system is perfectly isolated. And whatever interaction it has with its immediate environment, it is very difficult to find out the effects of such interaction. So the theory of microcanonical ensemble is based on the isolated system is some kind of an idealization. If you want to compare some laboratory experiments, it is not very convenient. So it is better to move to some other system where some of these things can be. So what is easy to measure is the temperature is easy to measure. It's easy to measure. Of course, you know how, using thermometer. And temperature is also easy to maintain, easy to maintain. By using a heat bath or what is called a heat reservoir. Okay, but what is if you in laboratory, this is something which can be done. But what is the price? The price is that energy is not fixed. In other words, energy fluctuates, even in equilibrium. Energy fluctuates. So we have to live with that one. So we are going to ask a question that so in this particular system, what we have is that we have a system. Okay, so let's say we have a system, and we have a much bigger system. We'll call this as a reservoir or heat bath. Or reservoir. And this is maintained at the temperature T. Okay. Now the reservoir is such that, okay, so now what happens? The walls or the boundary of the system are not, they are such that energy can actually be exchanged. That means energy can go out or energy can come in. So energy is a fluctuating quantity. Now, by definition, heat bath or reservoir is such that it has infinite heat capacity. What does it mean? That means energy drawn from or given to the reservoir does not change its temperature. This is the property of a bath, and this heat bath is a much bigger system than the system itself. Suppose if you are thinking of a cup of coffee which is hot, is placed in a room. Room is like the reservoir, and then the coffee in the cup is like a system. So usually the reservoir is much bigger in size. Now such a system where it is allowed to exchange energy with the reservoir, but it does not exchange the constituents, that the particles do not go out of the system. But the temperature of the system, so the equilibrium, what does that mean? Equilibrium implies temperature of the system is also equal to temperature of the bath. Only then we say that the system has equilibrated. So we have a macro state in thermodynamics. We say that we are going to fix the temperature, we are going to fix the volume of the system, and we are going to fix the number of particles of the system. Now such a thermodynamic system is called a closed system. It is closed because the number of particles are not going out. A closed system in equilibrium. Okay, so we have a closed system in equilibrium. So now you can see that most of the times, now the system is, if you are looking at different microstates of the system, they all can have different energies. Because suppose if some energy is entering into the system, then the system's microstate will have higher energy. So it is not that all microstates have the same energy. So because of that, the different microstates, since they can be distinguished by labeling their energy, they will all not be of the same probability. So our aim will be to find out. So the aim here is to find the probability of a microstate of the system with okay. As we discussed earlier, that if you have number of microstates and then their respective probabilities, that will define our answer. So we have a system, then we may know all the possible microstates of the system, but then we have to now find out what is their probability so that the description of ensemble can be completed. So for that we will use so now the microstate is labeled by its energy. That energy is not same for all microstates. So I can naively expect that the probability of an ith microstate which if I can denote it as some EI, probability of an ith microstate if I can denote it as EI, one can expect that this implies I can expect that this PI can depend on the energy of that microstate, which I will call it as EI, and of course the other thing that depends on is the temperature, because that is what. So this is I'm just expecting that this one because different microstates have different energies, and then the probability will be different with the different temperatures. So I am naively expecting that this could be the dependence of this probability. But in order to understand what is this probability, we will have to use the knowledge that we have already obtained. Now, system is not an isolated system, but suppose if you consider a composite system, of system and bath. So system and bath, put them together, a combined system, a composite system can be considered as an isolated system. Can be considered as an isolated system in equilibrium. This is nice because now I can use all that I know about such systems, because we have seen that already in the previous discussion. So because this is an isolated system in equilibrium, so the composite system, the macro state, of the composite system we can write that as, let's say, E0 from V0 and N0. These are fixed values. Now, we may have So let us say, let EI be the energy of the system and then E0 minus EI is the energy of the bath. Because total energy has to be E0. Now, supposing you have, so once you fix this one, in equilibrium, there are so let's say some omega 0 of E0 and N0 is the number of microstates of the composite system. Now I want you to notice that all these microstates are equally probable. This is what is the advantage of considering that this is an isolated system in equilibrium. So all these microstates are equally probable. But notice that once, let's say that you have system and you have bath, and this has got an energy EI, this has got an energy E0 minus EI, and let's say corresponding to this energy, there are omega S of EI, this many microstates are there for the system, and omega bath of E0 minus EI, this many microstates are there for the bath with this energy of the system. Now this implies your omega 0 can be written as omega S of EI into omega B of E0 minus E. Because the total number of microstates will be product of this. Now, essentially, this means that, so pictorially, suppose if I want to write, let's say I have one microstate here, another microstate here, another microstate here, and so on. I have so many microstates, all of them having same energy EI. This is like degeneracy of this energy EI. Same way, here also I have one microstate here, another microstate here, another microstate here, and I have so many microstates here. Now the total number of microstates is this number multiplied by this number. Now suppose if I, so the probability of this particular energy, suppose if I want to ask a question, what is the probability of one of the microstates? One of the microstates of energy here. Suppose if I ask this question, that means, let us say I am trying to fix, let's say I am fixing this particular microstate. I want to find out what is the probability of this particular microstate. That means in this there is only one, but here there are, this bath can be in any one of these states. Okay, so that means the total number of microstates now is 1 into this much number. So this tells you that the probability of this ith microstate with the energy EI. Okay, so let me write it like this: probability of EI is equal to, or it is proportional to, omega of bath with energy E0 minus E. Okay, so how many different microstates of the bath is supporting the microstate of a given system with the energy EI is what is going to determine what is the probability of that microstate. Okay. Now, note that since as I told you earlier, that system is much smaller, or bath is much larger compared to system. In general, this EI can be very small compared to EG. And hence what I can do is, I can write this omega B as e to the power 1 over kb into SB of E0 minus EI, where SB will be the entropy of the bath. Okay, so since like this, I can actually now write down this SB E0 minus EI. I expand this around this E0. So this is SB at E0 plus dou S by dou E evaluated at E is equal to E0 into minus EI and so on. So I neglect all higher order terms, and this term is essentially, this is equal to SB of E0. Dou S by dou E we know is temperature of the, in this case since this is SB, it is the temperature of the bath, but we know temperature of the bath is same as temperature of system in thermal equilibrium. So I have minus EI. So I can write down P of EI is equal to, this is some constant which I can simply dub it as a constant, but it is proportional to e to the power minus EI by AB. Okay, so this part I am just putting in some constant, and that constant we don't have to bother because now I am writing it just a proportion. Now this factor is called Boltzmann factor. Because Boltzmann for the first time had shown that the Maxwell distribution can be actually generalized to the total energy, whereas Maxwell only considered the kinetic energy of the system. Now the constant factor can be obtained by assuming that the probability has to be normalized. That means if you take sum over I, P of EI should be equal to 1 if sum is over all microstates. whether you have same energy or different energy, you have to sum over all microstates. So let us say that you write this as some 1 over z into e to the minus ei by kBt. Okay, then you can, when you do this sum over thing, so this implies I can write z as sum over I into e to the minus ei by kb. Okay, and many times we define in inverse temperature called beta, which is 1 over kBt, and write this z as sum over I e to the minus beta here. So this quantity is called canonical partition function. It's called canonical partition function. So this is the quantity of interest, like similar to what we have omega in microcanonical ensemble. This is the quantity that we are interested in finding out in canonical ensemble. This is called canonical partition function. So in terms of this canonical partition function, we can write down probability of a microstate I is equal to e to the power minus beta ei divided by sum over I e to the power minus beta ei. Okay, so this is called canonical probability distribution. So our aim is now accomplished, that we are now we have now an expression for the probability of a microstate. Now, what I'm trying to say here is sum is over all microstates. When I say this, I mean the following. That is, now the energy of the microstates are different. For example, let's say I have some energy, let's say E0, and then there are several states corresponding to E0. Then there is an energy E1. There can be several states corresponding to E1. There is E2. There can be several states corresponding to E2, and so on. If the situation is like this, when I write down Z is equal to sum over I e to the minus beta ei, I mean that I have to write for this, plus for this, plus for this, plus for this, and so on. That means every microstate is summed, whether it is having same energy or different energy. But this can be simplified further. Sorry, I think this E0 is not same as the E0 of the total energy, or maybe we will start with E1. Let's see. I can say that this particular E1 has got some omega of E1 times these many microstates are there, and this has got omega of E2 like that. Then what we can do, you multiply this one with this Boltzmann factor, and then sum over only distinct energies. That means this can be recast. Okay, so if omega of E is the number of microstates, of energy E, then you can write this Z as sum over distinct energies omega E into e to the minus beta. These two are same. Here I am summing over all microstates. Here I am only summing over all distinct energies. That's why you can see sum over all distinct energies. Now I want you to notice here that this particular term, if you look at, suppose if I plot the summand of this one with different energies, so you can see that this particular. So if you are actually plotting, let's say energy versus this sum, okay, for a different energies. Now you can see this e to the minus beta E term will have some value 1 at 0 and it just decreases like. So this is the graph of e to the minus beta. Now on the other hand, if you are looking at this term, you know that as the energy is increasing, its degeneracy will always increase. That means this term will have an increasing function like this. This will be omega. Now the product of these two terms, because you see as energy is increasing, this will go to 0. As the energy is decreasing, because of this term, it will go to 0. So the product of these two, if you are trying to plot the product of these two, the product of these two is always a peaked function. That means the product is always like this. It will have a peak. Product will be like this. This is essentially omega of E into e to the minus beta. Now what happens in thermodynamic limit? Okay, so in thermodynamic limit, this becomes a very sharply peaked function. Okay, so in thermodynamic limit, this equation, this function becomes very, very sharply peaked, in the sense that it will be very sharply peaked function. This is in period. In such a way that there is a particular value of energy, which I will call it as U. In thermodynamics, we call it as an internal energy, which is same as the average energy of the system. So that in this sum, only that particular value is dominantly contributing compared to all other values. So in thermodynamic limit, we can always write this Z as only one particular term, that is corresponding to omega of U into e to the minus beta. All other terms can be neglected. So there is only one term that contributes to this. This means, so suppose let me take logarithm on both sides. So logarithm of Z is equal to logarithm of omega minus U divided by beta is actually KB. Okay, so now I multiply this with KBT. KBT logarithm of Z is equal to, let me write it in the following fashion, T KB logarithm of omega minus 2. But KB logarithm of omega is the entropy, so this is equal to Ts minus 2. So I can write this as minus of U minus Ts. You know what is U minus Ts? This is called Helmholtz free energy. F. Or some books write it as A, doesn't matter. So that means my F as a function of T, V, and N is equal to minus KBT logarithm of. This is the connecting equation of a canonical ensemble. Once you get the canonical partition function, thermodynamics is linked to this one. This is similar to what we had. S is equal to KB log omega in microcanonical ensemble. Okay, so this is the connecting equation. And once you have this from here, one can do thermodynamics based on the thermodynamic equations that we already know with respect to this one. So this is the expression for so that means we can say that there are three levels of description. That is, you can say that Z is equal to sum over I e to the minus beta ei. This is sum over all microstates. Sum over all microstates. Or you can write down Z is equal to distinct energies where omega of E into e to the minus beta E. Here sum is over distinct energies. Okay, so like for example, you can say that you can imagine something like this. If you have a canonical ensemble, then there is going to be a set of microcanonical ensembles. So MCE of energy E1 and MCE of energy E2 and so on. So this is sum over distinct energies implies this is sum over distinct MCEs. So essentially, a canonical ensemble can be partitioned into different microcanonical ensembles. And for each microcanonical ensemble, the number of microstates is given by that. And that much you weight with e to the Boltzmann factor and then take sum over all those distinct energies, you get the partition function. And the third expression, just we have seen, is this is e to the power minus beta into K. This is in thermodynamics. In thermodynamics. So you can see this is at a macroscopic level, this is at an ensemble level, and this is sum over distinct microcanonical ensembles, and this is sum over all microstates irrespective of the energy. So this is how the partition function can be looked at three different coarse-grained levels. And the thermodynamic limit expression is what relates what we calculate in statistical mechanics to what is there in thermodynamics. And the rest thermodynamic properties can be obtained once we write down Helmholtz free energy in terms of this is called Helmholtz free energy. Okay. So some of you may recall from your thermodynamics course that since this F can be written as U minus Ts and du is written as Tds minus Qdv plus mu dn. You can write down df as du minus dds minus s dt. So this gives you minus s dt minus p dv plus mu dn. So if you are interested in calculating entropy, and it is obtained as a negative partial derivative, if you want to write down the pressure, it is negative partial derivative of F with respect to V, and you want to calculate chemical potential, it is partial derivative of F with respect to N. So remember, F is a function of PVN, and you can get, by taking derivative with respect to each one of that, you get entropy, pressure, and chemical potential. And you want to calculate other thermodynamic quantities from here, you can take the help of different Maxwell's equations and then obtain other properties also. So this is kind of expression, and I wanted to also make one remark that canonical ensemble is by far the most important ensemble of equilibrium statistical mechanics. So in some sense, this particular formula that we have written here, if you understand this and if you have learned to use this, that means you can do statistical mechanics fairly comfortably. So I would like you to concentrate on trying to understand this, or at least remember this, so that you can use it again and again in applications. We will do many applications, of course, but in some sense, many earlier batches, I mentioned that if some of you believe in using some mantra, this is like mantra of statistical mechanics. So you keep reciting this, probably that will help you in getting a mastery over statistical mechanics. So this is a very important concept. Okay, so I think I will leave it at this point, and we will take up applications from the next class. If you have some questions, you can discuss. Okay, so I am closing the lecture. Okay, so if there are no questions, maybe I can close it. I have to now go to Pondicherry today. So I thought I will finish the class and go, because I do not know how